Everyone, welcome to Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. It's me, Faye Seidler. It's Sunday night. We're getting into the show. For our very first thing I want to talk about is FirstLink hosts a care and support program. This does a couple different things, but it can be following other people who have called in for crisis or who have left things like inpatient and can use follow-up support. Usually they can be cards of checking in or help. They can be phone calls and stuff like that. If you've ever been part of the care and support program and you have things you'd like to say about it, they are currently looking for individuals to talk about those experiences so other people can, get a feel for what that looks like. There is currently a survey going on from IndiaSU that is looking at trans participants and their experiences of stress. The survey being completed is going to be something that you can get $20 for completion of. That'll be open for a little bit longer. With details here and on my weekly report. We also have a grant opportunity open from Red River Rainbow Seniors, which is a $250 micro grant available to Red River Valley LGBTQ+ youth groups that will be open until November 30th. So if you're going to apply, please do so as soon as you can so they can get all their applications in. Moving into my general news, starting off with news and politics. You can work for our legislative body. It can be both a fun and awarding experience to see how our government works, and if you are interested in getting involved yourself, it is a sneak peek of what that job looks like. There are currently quite a few applications open, deadline prior to next year. If you're interested in our new governor, Kelly Armstrong, they have some stories about what they're going to be doing. They're talking about changing their cabinet. What people are saying is that Governor Armstrong appears to be a sensible governor who deeply cares about our state, so we'll see how that plays out in the next couple of years. In equity news, FM Pride is looking for new committee members to help them plan and host the Pride Parade that comes up in August, but they also have a Winter Pride coming up in February. This has been something they do mostly annually, sometimes they don't, but they will have one coming up February 14th through February 16th. In other news, you can join Buffalo Fire's newsletter. They are soliciting individuals to join so they can meet a goal of theirs. Last time I saw it was at 68. Maybe they've achieved it, maybe they haven't. Buffalo's Fire newsletter is a newsletter that often covers Indigenous communities, both locally to Bismarck and also across the state. They are one of the best newsletters that I am part of to get news that is central to our Indigenous communities. So I recommend following them if you do any kind of work in those populations or just generally across the state. In good news, our state agencies have donated more than 17,000 items to our local shelters. As food security becomes a bigger issue in our state, as food costs continue to rise and everyone is struggling, efforts like this can really be life-saving. In other good news, Grand Forks and East Grand Forks have launched a New Start Nuke, which is an effort to help those experiencing homelessness in their area. I don't know when that will be happening, but it's in its works right now, and you can read more about that on my weekly report. A new resource that I became aware of is the Recovery Ecosystem Index map. This is a map of recovery around the entire nation, showing how well each county is doing. North Dakota is doing surprisingly well. We have some of the strongest scores across our state. We could do better. We are not the best, but we are doing a bit better than South Dakota right now. It's good to know that a lot of our work throughout the last decade has really paid off in making sure that we have adequate resources for individuals experiencing things like substance misuse issues. A good event coming up is going to be Fill the Dome event happening November 25th and 26th. That'll be tomorrow and Tuesday. This is an annual event that seeks to bring together a bunch of food. It is the largest event that is a volunteer youth-led event in our area as well as potentially the nation. It tends to be a good gathering point. It's something that will help people out, again, by providing necessary food that can save lives due to the issues that we find locally and across all of our communities right now. If you'd like to donate, if you'd like to volunteer, I believe those opportunities are still open, and I'd recommend doing that if you're able to. More information, again, on my weekly report. In other news, a local woman's planning to bring more diversity to the rom-com genre and looking to make her own movie. There's efforts in play for that, and you can read more about that in my weekly report. That's what we have for our general local news. We'll be moving into my two top stories tonight. The first one is going to be about City Hall, and it'll be pertinent because it'll be about what's happening tomorrow. And the other one will be about the Forum and their current policy on not allowing any national discourse from the opinion columnist. And just to look into that a little bit. That's what we have for tonight. Thank you for joining me for my opening segment, and we'll get into our two lead stories tonight. tomorrow at City Hall, they'll be discussing a number of different agenda items. Two of which have been brought up to me of concern. One of them is removal of the downtown harm reduction center, and the other one is to limit the ability for people to zoom in or provide commentary outside of being physically there. To speak to the first point, it appears that Commissioner Michelle Turnberg believes that the Downtown Harm Reduction Center is responsible for all of the needles that exist across the city, and believes that removing this program would reduce the amount of needles in our community. This isn't right. Like it's just not right. It's wrong. It is a wrong belief to have. I work with a lot of individuals who work as social workers or part of programs that involve things like needle exchanges. These are all programs that are harm reductive and help individuals. They are not connected to an increase in needles found across the community. There's also quite a lot of beer cans and bottles that I have seen across downtown. I think it is prudent that we shut down all of our bars. I think it's ridiculous that we have not done that, considering the littering that happens, not to mention the violence that occurs from people getting intoxicated or the DUIs that are prevalent across our communities. I think we should shut down bars. I think that the logical through line of these beliefs is to eliminate all alcohol. I just want to also take this time to mention that Fargo City Hall is continuing to look at ways to impact our people experiencing homelessness. One of those proposals was a deflection center they would like to open up. They are also asking legislators for more money, both with those experiencing homelessness and public transit, which seems to be a big problem in Fargo after we became large enough that we got less federal funding. There's also some issues with how we distribute money, meaning that our Fargo area, all counties get the same amount of money to help with like paratransit services, which means that a smaller county or one that doesn't have like a metro like Cass County does is getting the same amount of money. So that's just what we have for City Hall. There are ways to contact your commissioners and talk to them about feelings you have on what they are choosing to do. I always encourage to talk to your representative, not just to like change minds, but to let them know where you are feeling. Our representatives, if they are, it's important that our representatives get a selection of voices from across their community so they know that the agenda items they pass or don't are well informed by the concerns of our constituents. So participate in government. I actually wrote a whole thing about it. I wrote a whole Hope article about how you should get involved with City Hall and feel better about the world. Do it. On November 9th, the Forum published an editorial talking about how they were no longer going to have national stories from their opinion columnist. The fallout of this decision so far has resulted in Chuck Haga, a long-time running columnist, journalist of different capacities across the year, quitting, I believe, from the Grand Forks Herald. It also resulted in Tony Bender also resigning from the Fargo Forum, both of which under the Forum parent company, Forum Co., Forum Communications. There has been a number of opinion articles that have been submitted for individuals who are from diverse backgrounds, either work in democracy and human rights in journalism. There doesn't seem to be anyone who is in favor of this decision at the surface that has come out to speak about how great it is. The main talking points seem to be it's their paper and they can do what they like with it. I don't think that's a particularly useful thing to say. I believe over the last couple of weeks, if not months, there's been very questionable things coming out of the Forum and specifically the editorial board. One that makes a lot of people question the trust they have in the company. It's unfortunate because it does seem to be one individual making a lot of these decisions. I'm not privy to the operational decisions of the forum. However, I do have a lot of various contexts throughout journalism and media. And it's times like this, I think we have to ask ourselves who investigates the investigators. Because to be very clear, I trust a lot of the journalists that are at the forum. I trust the editors who are at the forum too. I trust a lot of the folks who are in journalism in our area, but I don't trust the direction the forum is heading in and where that direction might be coming from. And it's unclear if these decisions are really collaborative from everyone working at the forum company or being pushed by the CEO, Bill Marcel Jr. As the comments say, the paper is free to do what they want, but I would really like there to be a clear delineation if this is something led by the team that puts the paper together, or the journalists that write the stories for it, or the CEO. And I just want to know. It's fine if that's what they do, but I think it's worth knowing, because if there is so much trust being burnt, I would rather it be focused directly at the people responsible rather than our journalistic institutes as a whole. So I invite anyone who is a journalist to figure this out, to ask some questions of what's going on here and to report on it, because I think it's a very important story to look at. One of the things that we've seen is that a lot of criticism about this decision has made the pages of the forum, and to a point that's kind of cheeky because it makes it seem like they are not quieting dissent, but at the same time, it's air out your grievance, but you don't actually have any power to change this. It makes someone feel heard and then they just move on with their life instead of creating something actionable to assure we can trust the company and the actual quality of the paper going forward. I think today we are so tense about news and we are so desperate to have very trusted, centered public news. And I think we have that from our journalists, but when we see decisions like this, we do lose confidence in the paper as a whole. And I have seen individuals talking about canceling their subscription based on that. You've lost two really renowned writers, as far as I can tell, because of this decision. I have said this before on this channel, but journalism is the bedrock of democracy. And without it, we have a very hard time for democracy to thrive. In an age of misinformation, it's essential that we have places we can trust. And I think that axing national opinion columnists, in the grand scheme of things, isn't the biggest deal. But when we get comfortable with a kind of censorship, where do we really draw the line? And if it's being heralded by one person, which smells like that, don't know if that's what's actually in the oven, then what stops it from continuing to divide into the ways that we represent the people in our communities? At what level does that operative decision impact who gets hired, who stays on, and what stories are written? In which ways does that impact the editorial room as we think about what needs to be present in our community? It's not a big deal by itself, but I don't like it. Like, I just don't like it, okay? I don't like what it says, and I don't like the position it puts journalism in. I think that I will continue to follow the story. I will follow what other individuals do. I hope that real journalists look at what's going on here, and that we see some reporting on that. And if they don't, I will see what I can find, because it doesn't look good. Like, it hasn't looked good. There has been a lot of things that look awful, and I think the public deserves transparency in this. And maybe the story is this was it. This was everything that needed to happen. They really looked at the numbers. The people that knew what they're doing made this decision. Okay, fine. I'm wrong. That's fine. It doesn't look that way, though. Like, it really doesn't look that way. And I base that off of talking to other people that work in this realm. I guess if you're concerned, you can write the forum. You can write into the editor. You can write your own letters to the editor. You can talk about where you might move forward based on the decisions that they are making. The paper ultimately should reflect the people of the community. It shouldn't be a separate thing in many ways. So let them know what you think. And if they don't have the trust of the people, then that requires another source. Maybe your girl Faye. Maybe I'm the trusted source. You shouldn't like not trust me, but like it can't be me, right? Like I can't be the only one. So I want you all to know about that. This thing that's happening, and that's what I got for my show tonight. Bye. Bye everyone. Bye. Well, thank you everyone for watching my show. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope we see you back here next week. Just want to give some thank yous to all the folks here who contributed to the show, who made it all a great time and informed us about the cool stuff they're doing. He will be my outro probably for a while until I choose to change it. You all have a good day. Bye.